Hi everyone, you have a good looking class.
Yes, we do. That's for sure. Okay, everybody behind me. Oh, we have Parker over here. He's on videotape crew. He's
How are you, Parker?
I'm doing great.
Oh. So, Mrs. Hansen, we know that you are a home gardening expert of sorts. You're not a scientist by training, but you are an expert home gardener.
Well, thank you for the term expert. I'm not sure about that, but we're trying.
Okay, so we have some questions for you. Our project is relating to community gardens and specifically how to use organic techniques and natural resources in gardens. So we'd like to ask you some follow-up questions to the email that we sent you previously.
Sure.
So we're just going to go around and each student has a question for you. So,
Very good.
okay, Mason, do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Mason.
How many times a month do you use a spray that keeps the animals away?
In the garden, I would say maybe just once every few weeks. Once every few weeks I use a spray that has a very strong aroma. It's a cinnamon smell and the deer don't like that. So I would say once every few weeks, and if it's rained a lot, then maybe a little bit more often. And I especially spray the plants that they love to eat, like the daylilies and the hostas.
And can you make the spray at home?
Yes, you can. You can put in a blender some garlic and some cinnamon powder, an egg, some water, blend it, and then put it in a spray bottle. Sometimes you have to strain it, and you put it in a spray bottle, and it's wonderful. After a while, the rotten eggs get really rotten, and they don't like that.
Okay, are you all set with your question? All right, now on to Ian. Ian has a question for you. Go ahead, Ian.
All right, so what is your favorite plant or vegetable you have in your garden right now?
Ian, I really like perennials. Those are the plants that you plant once, they die back in the fall, and they come back every spring. I like that because I have an awful lot of plants, and if I were to plant every year new plants, I'd have a broken back. So perennials would be my favorite.
Okay.
How about vegetables?
Oh yeah, what's your favorite vegetable you have?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't plant vegetables anymore. I've had rabbits eating and deer, and I came home once to see a squirrel carrying a nice big red tomato in its mouth, carrying it away, and so I've given up. I'm not going to fight that battle anymore.
Okay, great, thank you. Kyle, you're behind there, right? You want to ask your question?
Oh, hi Kyle, are you the gentleman I've been
Yes.
mailing to?
Yes.
You get my 3 new emails by any chance?
The 11 photos, yeah.
Yeah, do you have them on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, show those right now before you ask your question. Kyle's going to go pull those up. We haven't seen those yet, so we want to look at those before you answer any further. He's made a photo slideshow that's beautiful.
I sent some more photos of my garden, but I also sent some photos of a hypertufa trough that we have, that my daughter made for me that I love, and I keep water in it. It's a kind of a bird bath, but I made a shelter for toads for it. And I sent you some pictures of that. If you put a round rock and then some straight rocks so that there's a shelter where they can rest in the daytime because they are nocturnal. They're wonderful. They go out into the garden and they eat beetles and slugs and grubs and all kinds of things.
And you have that right in the garden or next to it? I haven't seen the picture yet, but where do you put that?
It's right. I have 2 actually, and they're right in the garden.
Okay.
Hypertufa is a kind of cement trough that you can make. You use Portland cement and peat or perlite, and I love it. My daughter made it for me, and my daughter is right there if you need
Yes.
anything.
She's right over there.
Hello, Heather. Mrs. Messina.
That's okay. You can call her Heather. Kyle, you still oh, there we go. You see Kyle over there on his computer. I know it's far away for you, but everyone else look over there to see the trough that she's talking about.
This is
That would be
insane. Hard to tell from
This
there. Is that a
Messina.
frog in there?
Describe what you did there.
I think we're just looking down from above and you can see the water that's in it. It's basically, I took 2 boxes, a bigger box and a smaller box, put cement on the bottom, put the other box on top, and then cement, so it has a lip. And it's
Okay.
basically a big bowl, I guess you could say, like a bird bath.
Okay.
And she filled it with water, and I don't know if you can see the rocks there, it's hard to tell from that picture.
I think there are 2 other pictures also.
Okay.
Okay, show the other ones.
And she has rocks in it,
Mm-hmm.
and so the toads could sit on top of the rocks or go under.
Oh, look.
Are these little guys? Yeah, here they are there. The toads.
Aren't they cute?
So
And
they go out and
eat
eat all the bugs.
they eat lots of things, everything from flies to mosquitoes. And I don't worry about the mosquito larvae too much in the water because they eat that too.
Oh, wow. So that's a good technique.
And was this the hole so it could drain, Ma? Is that what that is?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the water doesn't go too high
Right.
and drown them out if it rains. And
That makes sense. All right, Kyle, go ahead. Show us the other pictures first and then ask your question.
And right here was another one of the toads.
Oh, look
Oh,
at that.
that's awesome.
Oh.
Underwater.
And the toads, rather than the frogs, have tougher skin. And so they can live further away from the water. Although we're by a brook, you know, they have their, the tadpoles and all, the eggs are in the water. But then the toads live mostly on land. And that's why I love to have them around. Even on land, if you just make a shelter with some rocks, someplace shady for them, a hole in the ground, whatever, they're great for eating bugs
Oh,
that you don't want around.
that's a great idea. I had never heard of that. Have you heard of this method? No, none of us have ever really heard of this before. Okay, and so Kyle, go ahead and ask your questions and then we'll look at those last couple pictures later.
Okay, my question is,
Come on, a little closer. There you go.
you said in your email that not all of your techniques are organic. What other techniques do you have that are inorganic?
I use a product called Roundup because we have some poison ivy. I think I mentioned to you, maybe I didn't, we're up against a lot of acres of open space. And so we have all kinds of pests, plant life and animals coming in. And with the poison ivy, we have pulled it out, but lots of times I'll use the Roundup on it. And it's a good product because it dissipates after a while, it doesn't stay in the soil.
That's good.
Good. All right, you ready for the next question? We have Molly. Uh-oh. Did something get, there we go.
there you go.
I might have disconnected.
Hi, Molly.
Okay, here you go, Molly.
When your garden is in full swing,
Hold on one second, Molly. There we go, we lost you for a minute.
when your garden is in full swing, how often do you check it?
Do I check it, did you
Yeah.
say? I'm out there every day just because I love to be outside. I would be out there now except that it's pouring. Yes, I go out, I take a walk around, see what needs to be done, see what's doing well, what's not doing well. So just about every day, just because I love to be outdoors.
Okay. Well, how often do you try to garden?
Again, just about every day. In fact, my husband gets upset with me because it's getting dark outside and I'm still there.
Could you elaborate a little, I guess because we're not gardeners like you are, what would be the daily duties that you would have to actually do out there?
Well, just yesterday, because I knew it was going to rain, I was starting to dig up the herb garden. I had a lot of mint that kind of took over. That's really a plant that spreads out very quickly in the herb garden. And some of the flowers, some phlox had seeded in there, and there were new seedlings coming up, and I didn't want to waste them. So I was digging up the seedlings and planting them in other places around the garden. I think that you can tell by the photos that we don't have a lot of lawn, and so there was a lot of plant material that we needed to fill in. And that's how I do it. If you let the plants go to seed, first of all, the birds eat the seed. Sometimes the birds deposit the seeds in other places when they poop it out, and sometimes I collect the seeds and then spread them. So there's a little bit, in the spring it's different than in the fall. In the fall we're doing a lot of pruning back and raking up, that kind of thing. So it's different each season.
Okay, thank you. Molly, anything else for you? No? Let's go back to Alexa, who's sitting right next to Molly. There we go.
How big do you like your garden to be?
How big?
Yeah.
Let's see, we have about an acre of property and the whole acre is planted. I planted a lot of shrubs, so that takes a lot of space. And they come back every year and flower and usually get bigger. This snowstorm, I should say, this past season did a lot of damage with branches and all, so I pruned off the dead branches, and sometimes that's good because it helps to prune them and they get more invigorated. The deer too love to eat the tips of the various branches, but that's kind of like natural pruning, because once you cut off the tips of branches, usually they spread out a little bit more, they branch out.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're over to Hunter now. There's Hunter. He has
Hi,
a
Hunter.
couple questions for you.
My first question is, what kind of pests do you usually encounter, like when you garden?
Oh, they're the voles. Voles are little rodents. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They are ugly pests and they bug me. I was watching some flowers, this was last summer, wiggle, and then it was gone. So they are underneath the soil, and they love to eat the bulbs. I had an awful lot of crocus bulbs there that are gone, and I had some bulbs blooming down in the yard, and I looked 1 minute they were there, the next minute they were gone. So you don't see them, they're underground, you just see where they exit. They leave nice round holes. And I found an organic product, I think I mentioned it to Kyle in one of the emails, called Shake Away. And you put that on the hole, and supposedly it's made of predator's blood, like coyote blood or something bigger than what they are. And it's supposed to scare them away. I don't know, these are very brave, they're staying around.
They're not afraid of coyotes.
Let you borrow my cat.
I bet that would do it, that would do it.
I have one more question. Have you had like any encounters with animals on your lawn or in your garden?
I'm waiting for some bear, because I understand we have them, and we do feed the birds, and we do have berries, and both of those things they like to eat. I haven't seen bear yet, but we saw a coyote, we had a fox, we had a whole flock of turkeys. They were beautiful. They came right up on the patio. What else? I can't think of anything else other than we have hawks, we have some big birds. We had a great blue heron that was beautiful in the brook. We live near a brook, so we have, the usual fish and that kind of thing there. I think that's about it.
Alright, thank you.
Lots of deer, lots and lots of deer.
Okay, and there's Zach way in the back.
Hi, Zach.
Hi. Let me pull my notes.
Okay, he's pulling out his notes.
Crock pots improve drainage. Like, how exactly do they work? Like,
Say it again, Zach. I'm sorry.
like
I can't.
I read something about how crock pots improve drainage for the
Oh.
water. Like, does that actually work?
Yes, crock pots, or sometimes they're just called raining barrels. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Wherever you have water coming off of the roof, and sometimes that's in gutters and leaders, the pipes that come down. People sometimes put these crock pots or rain barrels under that pipe that comes down, and they collect the water. And I don't know if you've seen some that have the spouts at the bottom. They have a faucet at the bottom, or they have a place you can connect a hose. And usually they're covered so that mosquitoes don't breed in them. But yeah, it's a great place, it's a great way to have water collected so that you can use it for watering in your garden. We don't have gutters or leaders, and I think I mentioned that in the email to Kyle. We let the water come off of the roof, and when we built the house, we waited for a rainstorm, and when the rain made some natural troughs where the rain hit, we just filled that in with rocks that we had dug up from the garden. And so the water comes off, goes into the rock, and then dissipates into the garden. So it's a kind of easy way to have the water dispersed.
Did you have another question, Patrick?
It said that like human hair around the garden keeps away like certain animals. Like, coyotes, I think it said it was.
Yeah, I tried that. I think after a while, they just get too smart. You know, just like the squirrels, they figure out a way to get the food, the bird food, you know? I tried human hair. I tried Irish Spring soap. Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah.
If you shave Irish Spring soap, and I did that in the garden, except when it rains, it gets mushy and it looks ugly. So I went back to the cinnamon spray.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? What was the one on the screen?
Like chicken poop in a bucket of water, like what does that do?
The chicken poop tea that you make. Can you
Okay.
elaborate on that?
Yes, compost tea it's called many times. If you look up, if you Google compost tea, you'll see a lot about it. Some people get very involved and they put the compost in a bag. You talked about compost, do you know what
Yes.
compost is?
Yes.
When we have several compost piles in the back of our property, when we rake the leaves or when we weed, or if you cut the grass clippings, we put kitchen scraps, vegetable scraps back there, and my husband turns it over, it gets watered with the rain, and pretty soon it turns into black dirt. It's wonderful, nutrients for the soil we spread around. And sometimes people make a compost tea, it's called. You get a bucket, maybe a 5-gallon bucket, you know, like you'd find at Home Depot. And you just throw some of the compost in there and you let it sit, you stir it around every few days. And then you water with that. And it's supposed to be excellent for watering plants and giving the leaves nutrients and all of that. Some people put it into a mesh bag, you know, they get very fancy with it. But if you just throw some of it into a pail of water and just stir it around a few days, I think it works the same.
Okay.
One year, there was, in my other home, there was a chicken farmer down the road. And I asked him if I could have some of the chicken poop. And that was the best. I put it on, it's extremely strong smelling. And you put it on in the fall and you let it work its magic and dissipate over the winter. And the next spring, the crops were wonderful, wonderful. So poop is good.
All right. Are you done with your question?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're almost done, but we have one last bonus question that we'd like to ask you, Mrs. Hansen. And I'm going to let Hunter ask this question. Go ahead, Hunter.
Your daughter, Mrs. Messina, said that you have special gear for keeping the bugs away from you. Can you maybe describe or even show us this gear?
I'll be glad to show you. My neighbor asked me if I was keeping bees because I am covered from head to toe usually because the bugs love me. I'll get my
Okay, yes, take your time. There's no rush.
What gear is this?
Like it
Sounds like a
Have you ever seen like when people go towards a
Beehive.
like beehive and have that?
Oh yeah,
whole,
here
like-
it is.
Here she comes.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
That's a little scary.
All right.
It gets me. It's wonderful.
There you
And
go.
I even bought a mesh, I don't know if you can see it,
Yes.
a mesh shirt.
Oh my
But
goodness.
that doesn't work so well, it's not very comfortable. But this is great, and I wear long sleeves and long pants for the ticks, and I'm very happy because they can't get to me. I don't know what I'll do if that hat ever bites the dust.
Well, we may have to ask to borrow that sometime, should we become very interested in gardening ourselves.
Rob Cameron for it.
My prized possession, I'll have to think about that.
All right, any last questions from anyone?
I
No?
have one more comment in
Okay.
organic
Please.
kind of solution for the slugs. Some friends, and I had minimal success with this one. You take a pie plate and you bury it in the ground so that the lip is even with the soil around it, and you fill it with beer. And slugs apparently love beer, and they go to the beer and they drown.
Wow.
Wow.
Another
heard
way
that
is
one.
to
Slugs like
put
ants.
eggshells. You crumble up eggshells around the base of the plant, and their slimy bodies do not do well going over the
Oh.
sharp edges of the eggshells.
Okay, and
So
those,
there's loads of information on the internet. I'm sure that you've been
yes.
looking and have found lots of information.
We found a lot. Go ahead, Molly, you have a comment?
Do you have a specific like gardening site that you visit to find ideas?
You know what I do? I just Google whatever I'm interested in. What toads eat, for instance, and it will tell you. Or you know, you just ask the question and the answer is there. It's wonderful. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I think in Kyle's letter he asked how do I keep the garden bug free, and I don't, because bugs are important. The caterpillars need to be there, but we're going to have butterflies. The birds eat bugs, and if I poison the bugs with pesticides or herbicides, if the birds eat the bugs, then they would be sick. So I try not to do that. There is a real bummer of a bug, the lily leaf bug, that I had some beautiful lilies, and they love it. They will eat it down in just a few days. It's a red bug, and I thought it was a ladybug, and I was happy because ladybug are voracious eaters of aphids, but it's a different bug, and as I said, they will eat it like crazy, and the only way to do that, I have a coffee can filled with soapy water, or my grandfather used to put kerosene in it, and you just flick them off into the container, you know, and that will kill them. But I like bugs because they help to pollinate the flowers and make seeds. And that's how I filled in so much of my property with the flowers. I collect the seeds, as I said, or sometimes the birds deposit them.
I like it, that's good, that's good. We didn't think about that. There's actually the value in having the
In
bugs
having
around,
bugs.
right?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so we should
and you don't
we should
want
write
to kill
that.
the bees. You know that the bee population is really in trouble. And we need bees to pollinate. I mean, you won't have fruit on the fruit trees if the bees aren't there pollinating and all. So you really don't want to kill. And I think I mentioned in the letter to Kyle that it really upsets me to see the chemical trucks, you know, that spray the lawns and all, because they're killing everything except the grass. You know, everything that should be growing in the ground is killed as well. So it's really a shame. It's a big mistake.
Yes, and I think the major thrust of our project is designing responsibly. So designing gardens responsibly using natural resources. And we can tell that that's very important to you. Any closing words before we check out for today? Just in general about farming and gardening with organics and natural resources. Any last words before we say goodbye?
Well, I think it's really important if you can garden naturally. The ground is going to be here forever. Whatever you put into it is going to be there forever. I think composting is very important. You want to feed the soil with natural things. The birds, the bugs, the toads, everything in the garden is working naturally to help to sustain it. So I try not to use chemicals wherever possible. The only place I do use non-organic chemicals is in my potted plants and the window boxes. Those are planted with annuals, plants that you have to plant every year. And they bloom their hearts out just for that one season, the summer season. And so I do use that there. There's also a fish oil emulsion that you can use. So there are natural things, but I do take the easy way out and use Miracle Grow and Mir Acid for the container plants. But it's so important, and especially because we live near a brook. We didn't want to put chemicals on our property that would run off into the brook and kill the fish and whatever else is living there, you know? But I wish you lots of luck. This is a wonderful.
Thank you.
Doing.
Do you wanna have one more question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hunter has one last
I
question.
just have one more question. Would you say that you prefer everything organic over inorganic, like when you use different things?
Absolutely, if you can, yes, absolutely. Organic is much better. Sometimes I question, when you buy vegetables at the grocery store or products that are labeled organic, I think sometimes you really have to look into it. Are they really farmed
Exactly.
organically and all,
Kyle, go ahead. He had one more question he just thought of.
For your eggshells and everything, did you look it up on Google or did you try experimenting it yourself? Like you decide just one day to put everything together?
I read a lot of articles on gardening, Kyle, and I might have, I've been gardening for a long time and I don't remember exactly where I saw that, but I'm sure that I read it somewhere or found it online. And what you have to do when you have the eggshells is be sure that you crumble them up, so that you have lots of spiky places and place them around.
Yeah, that one's kind of cool. I almost want to try that one myself, don't you? With the eggshells. All right.
Yeah,
If there
It's
aren't
carrying
any
them into the soil as they break down,
yeah,
so
that's
it's
perfect.
good.
That's perfect.
Yep.
And you can even eat the eggs, right? Have eggs
That's right.
eggs for breakfast and use the shells.
That's right.
Anyone else
Fully
have any questions?
recycled egg.
No? Okay, I think we're out of questions. Any last words, Mrs. Messina?
No,
She is your
thanks,
mother.
Mom.
We all want to say thank you, right? Let's give Mrs.
Well,
Hansen a nice round of applause.
If there's anything else I can do to help with your project other than lending you my gardening hat, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, thank you again. It was a pleasure.
You're
Bye-bye.
very welcome.